What's up, YouTube? Go ahead and jump right into this video. I want to talk about pride in relationships. I got a couple of people that I was speaking with today, just about different relationship issues and whatnot. And I've also had my own little thing going on in my relationship. It wasn't that too big, but I got so much on my mind. I got so much I want to say, and sometimes getting on here, it kind of like I gotta get it all together. So I gotta relax in order to be able to get to the point. But pride in relationships, man. A lot of relationships don't work because of pride. We tend to lean into how we feel and what we think and what we believe to be true, rather than see where we can be better, rather than see where we went wrong. And it goes for both parties, either parties. A lot of people in relationships, because they never can really see themselves and the part that they play and why they currently going through what they're going through in a relationship. And if you want a relationship to work, you cannot have pride in it. It can't be a part of your relationship. Unfortunately, pride would probably sabotage every relationship that you have, whether it's your kids, your spouse, your buddy, anybody. If you got too much pride, you can definitely ruin relationships that could, just be healthy relationships, beautiful relationships. But pride will never allow you the ability to see, the potential. It'll get in the way of that when you're angry, And now, once you get angry in it, that's in a sense like wrath. You so frustrated, you're gonna lean even further into your pride. You're gonna feel like you're right, and you're gonna start thinking these thoughts to convince yourself that I'm right. The way that I feel is valid. The way that you feel don't make no sense. I can't really hear what you're saying because, unfortunately, my pride has taken over. So you ain't even talking to me right now. You talking to my pride. And an example of your pride would be you get into it with your old lady or your old man, and once you get mad, you try to stay mad. That's pride, because you're trying to stay mad. It'd be a point in time where you be mad for real, but after a while, it start feeling uncomfortable. Both of y'all feel uncomfortable. You can't sleep too good. You just don't like the feeling. But yet, we sit there and try to fight it. Well, I ain't gonna talk to you. I'm gonna be dry. All that stuff is the pride. That's the part. And sometimes what happens is, men and women, based on what we got going on in our life, sometimes that could feed our pride. And because of what's going on, like let's say you got a job and make a lot of money, or you're a female and you're beautiful, those two things could definitely just amplify your pride. So when you go through something in any relationship, your pride can easily take over, and you can easily ruin a potentially good relationship because you were blinded by a false sense of security, my beauty, or I got a bank account that's just going stupid with numbers. So now, as a person, you're basing your value on those two things. And it's like, the moment somebody make you mad, your pride coming. You get rid of them. Oh, they're not a good person. It's like, no, that's not true. People make mistakes, So if you want any relationship to work, or I guess if you want to be able to move through life with a lot of successful relationships, work on killing your pride. I'm sorry, I had to burp. Work on killing your pride. Work on humbling yourself. know what I'm saying? Work on practicing love. You know, work on forgiveness. Work on reflection. Work on honesty. Being able to honestly like look at yourself and realize where you could do better. You know, and realize where you went wrong. You know. I don't know. That's the pride part of it. I just got off the phone with my lady, and man, the roles that we play, like the man and the woman in a relationship, is just extremely important for your family, if you have one, if you create a family, you know, because between the two of y'all, once y'all have kids, it's like y'all become king and queen for your whole existence, for your whole life. Y'all become king and queen. As long as y'all are in a union, that's what y'all are. You know, when it comes to your family. And I say that because as the male, or as the father, grandfather, great grandfather, whatever, you got a guide. You got to be the best example of a man to all the generation of men that come after you. Of course, you're going to contribute to the women as well. You being a good example of a husband or a leader, or a partner, and vice versa. That's what the same role that the queen play for the females. So you and your partner now, y'all may have a few kids, but y'all obligation is way larger than just them. Y'all obligation goes generations. It's a lifetime, you know, your lifetime and other people's lifetime. You know, y'all presence matters. What y'all do while y'all here matters. The knowledge y'all gain while y'all here, it matters. You must share that knowledge with the generations that's gonna come after us. You know, it's imperative that they know what we know. It's imperative that we prioritize getting that knowledge to them. You know, because if not, and we did them a disservice, we failed them. You know, what do we do with our time? If we would just focus on ourselves and making ourselves feel whole because we got a void within ourselves, you know, that's the thing about a void, like a black hole. You can't, no matter what you put into it, it ain't gonna never be enough. So that void that be within people, you need to figure that out. Because as long as you trying to feel it, it's gonna keep wanting more. It's gonna keep wanting more, and then so much time passes by to where you're not able to be who you need to be for the people, like in your primary world, because you're so focused on that void. You know, everybody got different struggles. Everybody got different struggles, man. In some way, shape, or form, you got something that you're struggling with, and it starts with looking at yourself. It starts with reflecting on your darkness. That's where it starts. Being the king and the queen. Yeah, y'all the king and the queen, but y'all individuals as well. And you know, one of the first steps to, I guess, probably leading a virtuous life would be, you know, self-improvement. Understanding the self, understanding the laws of nature, not all of them, but understanding just the ways of the world, paying attention, you know, balance, you know. For instance, naturally we have something within our body that lets us know when we hungry. Now, I'm almost certain it's people that could argue that, they can fight it, say, oh, well, what if yours don't work? What if you don't never know if you're hungry or not? Whatever. The majority of us have something within us that tells us when we're hungry. That's nature. But in this society, how many of us eat when we're hungry versus eat when we think we should eat? You know? So we've been trained to follow suit. You see Subway, last time you ate was 3 hours ago. Ooh, I'm hungry. I need to eat Subway. Because you seen Subway. And it's like, no, you're not hungry. You're not hungry. You really would probably be good for, 10, 15 more hours, man. But, I mean, you who's really just gonna live like that? You got a few people, but not a lot of people are willing to really discipline themselves in that way. Say, you know what, I'm only gonna eat when my body tell me to eat. That's hard for people to do, but it shouldn't be hard. That should be something that is normal. That should be common. I think we'll have a way healthier society if that's the way people start, looking at themselves, slowing down, and not forgetting about the simple stuff. So when I speak about king and the queen and all this knowledge that we got to pass down and the great responsibility that we have, we got to start with ourselves, with small stuff like that. It starts with stuff like that, making your bed up when you get up in the morning. It don't seem like it's important, but it really matters. Have some form of discipline in your life, principles, morals, ethics. You gotta have, it's like a map. It's like a map. Everything that's going on internally will be a reflection externally, and it won't always be like the exact situation, but you will see it. You will see your internal reflecting outside. If I was miserable within myself, I would walk around and always have a frown on my face, always be angry. If somebody do the smallest thing, it's gonna make me just lose it. But because I'm not in no bad space, and because I'm not miserable, and it's easier for me to navigate when I come in contact with people that are not doing well. It's easier for me to have compassion and understanding for those people. It's easier for me to restrain myself in certain situations, even when most people would argue that my response should have been aggressive. And even at times I contemplate on if I should have had an aggressive response, because in this day and age it's not easy to discipline yourself like that. It's not easy to deny yourself like that in spaces where you want to do something but you just don't do it because you know it's the right thing. You know what the right thing is. So when you know better, you do better. And a lot of times I use the analogy of knowing better and doing better. Like, okay, if you go in the kitchen and you turn your stove on 12 or whatever your highest setting is, and you wait 5 minutes and then you go in the kitchen and put your hand on it one time as a kid, from that moment you ain't gonna ever do that again. Consciously, intentionally, you ain't gonna ever do that again. Why? Because it burnt the shit out you. It burnt you. And it burnt you so bad, it left it was like a wall. It created a wall for you. And even though it's an invisible wall, because you can always go and burn yourself, you're not going to go and do it. You're not going to go and do it unless you have a mental break or something, or it's an accident. But consciously, you're not going to go do that because you know better. So the thing about knowing better is, when you really know better, you'll live like that. That's how you know when somebody know better. But just because people are older and they look like they got it together, I guess they understand the basics, it doesn't necessarily mean that they know better. If they still doing the same thing, if they still going through the same problems, still having the same situation, they ain't learned or grew past that point. Even though it's painful for them when they in it, it wasn't painful enough to make them not want to go back to it, which means that they didn't learn. They may have gained some things, they may have learned some things, but they probably did not learn the full scope of what they were supposed to learn while they were in that space. So we're not victims, and we have, like I said, we have a responsibility. Those of us who plan on having families or who have families, all of us have a responsibility, but primarily those individuals, to really focus on ourselves, to really be better, you know, not just for us, but for everybody that comes after us, because you shouldn't be 70, 80 years old and ain't got nothing to offer the younger generation. You know, what kind of life is that? You know, and I'm not trying to beat people up who didn't have access to, or who just never had access to the knowledge. I'm not beating them up. I'm just saying, like, if you do have access to it, and if you did have good teachings growing up, if you did have somebody telling you, then once you became aware, then you became responsible. So now from that point forward, it's really your job to adhere to the higher knowledge within yourself at all times, no matter what, no matter how bad it get, no matter how tempting something may be, no matter how sweet the situation is. It don't matter. It don't matter. You gotta adhere to what you know to be true. The highest form of what you know to be true, you have to adhere to. And what's so crazy is this life can be so tricky, because at times, man, you would really contemplate on if something could work, like you adhering to that higher knowledge. It's almost like in the Bible, the story. I wouldn't say Job. I think it was Abraham who had to give up his son. You know, he was gonna go sacrifice his son, and that right there, regardless of how he felt, he got to give up his son, man. It's the fact that I got to give up my son, but God want me to give my son up, so I'm gonna go do it because of my faith. Now, a lot of us say, "Well, he crazy," but it's like, no. Sometimes you have to be willing to sacrifice. You know, you have to be willing to sacrifice something. You think you know this to be true. Like, that got to be some crazy stuff for God to tell you to go sacrifice your son, and for you to blindly follow. It ain't that you don't know. No, you know, and you feel strongly against it. You don't really want to do it, but that's what's being requested of you. And the thing about it is, sometimes God just testing us to see if we how much faith we really got. You know, so that's what all this is. Everything that we're experiencing is like it's like school, man, and God the teacher. God the teacher, and we the students. And ultimately, we may be God, all of us, in some way, shape, or form. But with our current state, we definitely the students, and we got a duty to sit and get this information from God, man. And God come at us in different ways, through different people, through different things. It's just through different signs. You just got to be able to see it. And it's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing just to wake up, just to tell somebody you love them, just to be able to see somebody else smile or laugh with a person. Share a laugh with somebody, man. To watch your kids grow. You know, like, it's beautiful. And it's gonna become a day where all of us that's here right now won't be here. You know, that's guaranteed, unless it's people that figured out immortality, or they're not human, or they just found a way to extend the life of people. Other than that, in 150 years, I mean, maybe one person be alive from all of this. Ain't no telling if they just live to be that old, but everybody else gonna be gone. So while we here, that's what we must do, man. We must learn as much as we can. So that's it for this video. Yeah, man, peace and blessings to y'all. Y'all take it easy out here. And remember, man, treat people how you want to be treated. That's it.